Good morning, my dear friends and colleagues from the insurance industry. My name is Ariel Rivera, and I am your host of Fun Insurance Solutions. Today, we have a wonderful episode with somebody that I love very, very much with all my heart. I respect her. I have nothing but admiration, and she's been a great mentor to me as well. And more importantly, we're celebrating her 37th anniversary in the insurance industry, the one and only Miss Dulce Suarez-Resnick from Miami, Florida. Dulce is an amazing professional. You're going to hear all about her career. You're going to hear and understand what's going on with the Florida insurance marketplace. But before we get there, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Viva Virtual Assistants and Barton Financial Services. Remember, if you're in Florida and you need premium financing for your clients because inflation is killing all of us, you gotta reach out to Spartan Financial Services. And if you need help with your daily task, daily work, back office, you want to hire a virtual professional, you want to hire somebody who's going to help you grow your book of business and your agency and take it to the next level, you got to reach out to Viva Virtual Assistant. Remember, when you reach out to them, let them know you're part of the fun family. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my dear friends and colleagues from the insurance industry. My name is Ariel Rivera, and I am your host of Fun Insurance Solutions. Today, we have an amazing episode with one of the persons I respect the most in the insurance industry at all, and especially in the Florida marketplace, because I believe she was a runner up at a point in time to insurance commissioner, and we're going to discuss that, and she's going to clarify all that. And not only that, she's a true mentor. She's a leader. She knows the market, and her heart, all she wants to do is help. To all of you that are listening to us, there's going to be a little bit of Spanglish, so it's going to be just more fun than it usually is. So without further introduction, because you're going to hear all about her story, my dear friend, Miss Dulce Suarez-Resnick, welcome to Fun Insurance Solutions. How you doing?
Hi there. El. Thank you for having me this afternoon. I am honored that you chose to have me come on your podcast.
I am honored, not you. I am honored. It's my honor.
I have the pleasure of serving with you on one of the boards, and I have the pleasure of being a co-teacher with you when we teach our Spanish Nation program for Puerto Rico. So if our friends from Puerto Rico are listening, hola todo el mundo de Puerto Rico, aquí de Miami. Le
Muy bien.
estamos
And you
saludando.
know they love you,
So
so.
yeah, a quick hello to the fans, in Puerto Rico. But really, it's an honor, and I thank you a lot for having me here.
Sure, it's going to be fun. Don't worry. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I'm sure people are going to learn a lot by listening to you. They're going to learn about your career. We're going to share your story and many other things. So it's Friday. You have a beautiful week. Let's assume it's perfect. Everything went going on perfect. You just want to go home, sit down, relax, and have a drink to, say goodbye to the week and then enjoy the weekend. What will be your drink of choice?
My drink of choice would actually be a nice glass of red wine.
Nice.
A Malbec, a Merlot, a nice glass of red wine, just to sit and sip it and just let the day just go away. Let the week just go away.
Sink in, yeah.
Lately in the Florida insurance marketplace, it feels like you need to do that every day,
I know, I
and
know.
maybe more than once a day. But yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I love my red wine, my Cabernet. I'm a Cab guy, so but yeah, it feels like that's a perfect closure for the weekend. And
Hmm.
the market is hard. It's just driving us crazy. So Dulce, people want to get to know you a little bit better. They want to know your story. They want to know why, wherever I go and whenever anybody meets you, we all think that you are one of the greatest ones ever. Please share your story. Tell us a little bit about yourself. ¿Quién tú eres? Where do you come from? And I want people to hear all about it.
First of all, thank you guys for being very biased, because I don't see what you see. I don't see that great person. I do like to help other agents. That's
That's
in
true.
my heart. So, come November 2nd of this year, I will be celebrating 37 years in the insurance industry.
Wow, that's a lot. And you're what,
Yeah.
like 45 now? I'm just kidding. Don't say
No,
that.
I actually started when I was 19 years old, and it was just like everybody else. It was a part-time job because I was going to college, right? So as everybody knows in our industry, unless you are second generation, insurance person, so your family had an agency, or you had a family member who was an insurance agent or worked in an insurance company, we do not wake up one day in the 10th grade or the 11th grade and saying, when I graduate, I'm going to be an insurance professional. I'm going to be an insurance salesperson or an underwriter or a claims adjuster or an actuary. That is not what happens back then. Everybody's thinking about, who's going to be a doctor, who's going to be a lawyer, who's going to be a nurse, all these other occupations other than insurance. Most of us get sucked in to the industry. And this is exactly what happened to me. I was in high school, I was in the work program, and I grew up on Miami Beach. So there's a lot of condominiums. And my high school was across the bridge from Collins Avenue. It's a little walking bridge. And I used to walk over and work for a condominium association. I did some clerical work in the afternoon. And once I started going to college, I was still working there. And the insurance agent that came in to bid against the incumbent agent, came to meet with the association president. And in his second visit, basically offered me a position.
Wow.
Or basically, we have an opening. Will you come and interview for us? And it was actually perfect timing, because I was going to Miami-Dade College, the Wilson campus in downtown Miami, which is 2 blocks from that office. And the only thing that separated the college from their building was the parking garage. And they pay for the parking. This agency pays for the parking. So I was going to get free school parking, plus only be 2 blocks away instead of having to come from Miami Beach. And,
drive and all the traffic madness and everything.
It worked out. And I remember speaking to my mom and saying, Mommy, I have this offer and it's an insurance agency and I don't have an idea, but they need somebody who's clerical. And my mom said, don't worry about it. Just go and interview. Pa'lante, And okay. So I went and I interviewed. I got the job on the spot because they needed someone bilingual. And I started off as a personal lines clerk. And I used to type the policies. So those policies that were 4 or 5 pages, and it was the white pages, the blue pages, green, the pink, the yellow page. And we had the matching liquid paper to fix the corrections, because we type policies on an IBM Selectric 2. So, and that's how the insurance companies used to find out that we bound a policy. You would mail them their dailies. At the end of the day, you would mail out all the, dailies for the policies that you wrote. Nothing like what we do today. I mean, incredible. This was 1985, to give you guys an idea. So a fax machine was huge. So everything was via fax and by mail. So I was there for about 16 months when the personal lines underwriter at the agency decided to leave. And she was a great mentor. She had taught me a little bit about the things. And because I was a nerd at the time, I found the forms that I was using to put together these policies, because I had to type them up and put them together and mail them out. I would start to read the forms and I would go and ask questions. So I sort of really found it interesting. So when she leaves, my boss comes and says, we would like to promote you to be a personal lines underwriter. I went, no, wait, time out. It's impossible. I don't know enough. And he says, well, I think you could do it. You've learned a lot and we'll provide some training. I said, okay, time out. Happens to be that in the afternoon, the PIA Personalized Insurance School had sent a fax announcing their upcoming personalized insurance school. It was a 3-day school for personal lines.
Wow.
So I walked into his office and I said, if you send me to this school, I will take the position. And that's how it started. And at that point, I took the classes for the 3 days, and I really found it very interesting. And I went back to him, told my mom, you know what? I have decided what I'm going to do. I am going to stop going to Miami-Dade, and I want to study insurance, and I want to become an insurance professional. And she looked at me and she said, are you sure? And I said, yes. And this is because my dream to become a doctor was not going to happen. Okay. And so at that point, I went to the insurance school, started working at the agency, but I said, oops, as we all know, what we learn in class is not necessarily what happens in real life.
Yes, 100%.
So I picked up the phone and I called one of the underwriters that I used to deal with. And she says to me, I will send you some information, but I'm going to have Mr. Darden call you. Now, Mr. Darden was a 63, 64-year-old gentleman who was a long time personal lines underwriter at the company. And he called me, he goes, Dulce, I hear that you've been promoted. Yeah. And that you're going to, He goes, well, this is what we're going to do. Every day at 3:00, I'm going to call you. Okay. He goes, and I'm going to give you homework. Okay. And you're going to take home the manual every day. Okay. Fine. So he would give me these pages. You need to study these pages. When I call you tomorrow, I'll quiz you on them. And that's how he did. And one of the things that he did was teach me how to rate, because back then you needed to rate manually. We didn't have computers for rating. It was manually. And he taught me how to rate manually to the point that I could figure out your premiums for homeowners, windstorm, and flood in my head. And it was not a problem. He did that. He taught me how to underwrite. He taught me how to look up, understand all the endorsements and everything. And if there's anybody that I have to thank for being a really good personal lines agent, is Mr. Darden, who has obviously since passed away. And we actually got to meet in person 10 years after that.
Really, that long?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it took 10 years before we met in person. And I really owe what I know in personal lines to him, because he's the one that built that foundation. And shortly after that, I joined the Insurance Women's Association, the National Association of Insurance Women's Association. And I had built a great network of insurance moms. Okay. So you had other insurance professionals that wanted to help the younger generation succeed and learn. And I have to tell you that that was a great moment, to the point that I got involved, joined the board, gave my time back, and I eventually became president of the local chapter of the Insurance Women's Organization. And one of my instructors, who was a CPCU, told me, when you finish studying, you should consider becoming a teacher. And I went, me as a teacher?
So no way, yeah.
No. And she goes, yeah, because you have a way of explaining to the other students what we just went through in class when they're confused, and you explain it to them and they get it. And I also used to explain it in Spanish in the class. So she told me I should consider it. And I eventually did. A few years later, I did. Actually, after Hurricane Andrew is when I said, all right, it's time to think about this, because I want to give back to my industry.
And you did such a good job. I mean, I didn't know you, but you were part of the board of the Women's Association. And it's definitely, that organization eventually evolved. You were actually at the conference recently, which is it's called the International Association
It's the International Association of Insurance Professionals.
Yep.
Yeah, because NAIW, which is the National Association of Insurance Women, started when the men in the 40s went off to war. The women had to work, and the women started filling those positions at the companies and at the agencies. And here they were. Yeah, I know how to type, right? But they needed to learn more.
They needed to run the business, yeah.
They built a network of ladies that would help each other learn more and understand insurance, and then take classes, and they would do little workshops. So this network that started in the Midwest started to expand, and it reached the entire United States, plus Puerto Rico, plus Canada, and England. There's a chapter in England.
Wow,
so
that's impressive.
It's impressive.
It is. I had no idea about that. That's and right now they have a great chapter in Puerto Rico, and I know as well, Florida and other places as well. And it's impressive just to hear the full story. I didn't know the actual reason it was founded. It was because of that. So thank you for sharing that.
Second World War, yeah.
That's amazing.
So then in 1999, the Latin American Association of Insurance Agencies asked me to help them with their education program, since I was already the education chair for the Insurance Women's Organization for so long. They asked me to help them. So we started helping them. And I said, look, we can do the same programs we could work together, have classes together.
Of
And
course.
that way, the Latin agents could learn to put together these semester courses, because we used to teach the institute courses.
Hmm.
And then slowly but surely, we went expanding. And it was the Insurance Women of Florida, the Insurance Women's Organization here in Florida, and the Latin agents here in Florida that actually kicked off the CPIA designation here in Florida for the very first time. When it started, it went through these two associations.
Okay, wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
And not only the involvement in the organizations, which you and I are super vocal about it. You know, it's crucial. You go get involved in different organizations. You put in the work, and you know, like somebody, you have great mentors. And I'm a true believer. You've been a mentor to me, so thank you. That's, you know, the high standard I hold you accountable for. But yeah, it's one of those things that I tell everyone: you go into organizations, you find mentors, you put in the work, and you help. Because at the end of the day, you know, in our heart, it's just to help people. It's all about our clients, our families, our agencies, and the industry. Which, like you said, you wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a congressman. Yeah, I thank God every day I didn't make
Not
it.
too late,
No, no, please
my
God,
friend.
no.
It's not too late.
No, no, I enjoy my rum and coke and the peace of home, and you know, not having to deal with so many calls or people, you know, judging you and attacking you every
Oh
day.
yeah.
So the insurance industry is plenty. So there's more to it than people think. So, anyways, one of the things when you change or you shift your careers towards, you know, insurance, you found a calling. And like you said, many of us come in by chance or by luck or however, and it's that moment you feel like, huh, I can actually do this for the rest of my life because it's something I love to do. And that's so important.
Very much so. If you like what you do and you enjoy what you do and you feel there's a purpose in what you do, you're going to do very well. And the reason is because you care.
Yep.
And what I can say is that every time I speak to a young couple that's buying their first home, funny story. I was on the phone with a young couple. They're buying their first home, and I'm explaining the coverages to them. And back then, I was an employee at an agency, and my boss would walk behind me saying, "Dulce, you're not teaching class." And I remember one day saying to him, "You know what? We need to educate the consumer, and especially young people, that this is the biggest investment that they're making. They're buying their first home, huge investment. They need to know how to properly insure it. And we need to help them make that decision." I am a true believer that I consider myself an insurance trusted advisor. I'm
I
not a
like that.
salesperson. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to help you make choices, right? And the choices that are good for you, because you can't be cookie cutter. What's good for one customer may not be good for the other customer. And you have to really
100%.
personalize it for them. So I started my career always thinking that I was helping people in case something bad would happen. And 7 years into my career, something bad did happen.
Mm.
7 years into my career, we all had to experience Hurricane Andrew. And I remember watching the news and seeing the storm and then showing where they thought, because technology was not that great back then,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
and saying, we think the storm's going to come in between Palm Beach and Broward County. We think the storm's going to come in between Broward and Dade. As the storm got closer, right, they kept changing that direction. I remember it was like midnight, and they said, we're going to hunker down, because the television station that was reporting, their station was in downtown Miami, and they were now saying that the storm was supposed to come in through Government Cut. So
Mm.
between Miami Beach and the cruise port, right into downtown Miami. And that was around midnight. And
Wow.
then the storm had got delayed. And the reason they kept changing where it was coming in was because the storm started to slow down and it couldn't move forward. And finally, at 4 o'clock in the morning, the storm veered into sharp left and went straight into Homestead. And that's what happened that day. And we have to be thankful. We are sorry to the city of Homestead, because Homestead was the Air Force base. There were a lot of farmers there. Homestead was a small little town, and they got the direct hit of this storm. And we just celebrated the anniversary, 30 years yesterday, of Hurricane Andrew. And when you see the aerial shots and you see the devastation that there
Oh,
was in all of South Florida, yes, Homestead was ground zero, but leading there from Key Biscayne all the way down to Homestead and into Key Largo even, the devastation was huge.
yeah, I
And
still
if that's,
remember in
oh
Puerto
my
Rico,
God,
even when Hurricane Maria hit, and just looking at it over the top, like from an airplane or even a drone view, it looked like somebody just burned, like put everything on fire.
mhm.
Everything looked brownish, destroyed. I mean, all the vegetation went away.
Yeah,
So I can only imagine for you guys in Android, it was exactly the same.
it was
So,
exactly the same thing. It was like all of a sudden there used to be homes here and now there's nothing. Or that you see the first floor of the house and
mhm.
then there's nothing on the second floor and you're thinking maybe the roof flew off. No, the whole second floor flew off. You see the
Wow.
stairs, the broken sliding glass doors, and you see the stairs to the second floor, and there's no second floor. So for me, at a very young age in the insurance industry, only 7 years in, I had to deal with a major storm. Not only a major storm that then caused 9 carriers to go insolvent
Mm.
within the 4 months after. And then the creation of the homeowners JUA, which was back then was a Florida Residential Property and Casualty Joint Underwriting Association
Okay.
that was created in March. It took 6 months, but because there weren't any markets. And
Wow.
that's when agents in Florida learned how to become more familiar with the E&S marketplace because we really didn't need it.
Yep.
In
But
many
it had
cases,
never
we didn't
happened
need it.
before. So,
But here now you were trying to get a homeowner's policy from Scottsdale or from Federal or whoever was out there being homeowners because the entire marketplace either had shut down and closings couldn't happen,
mhm.
or they left the state or they went insolvent. And unfortunately, I'm telling you a story that we repeat today. We're dealing with basically the same thing today.
Yep. Yep.
So, so right after Hurricane Andrew, which that was 92, it was finally in July of 94 that I became a certified insurance instructor. And my goal was to help my fellow insurance professionals
Mm.
become better educated, have more tools, understand the marketplace. I even taught the Invest program in high school. That's when we teach auto insurance to
Yep.
high school students that might maybe want to think about getting into the insurance industry. And, I find that all very rewarding. If I will tell you, you could put it on my tombstone. Okay. Mother, daughter, wife, whatever. And she tried to make the insurance industry a better place. That was that. If you put that, I'm happy because truly that's how I feel. And I try to remind my students nowadays is that our job is very important. It's not just about that commission check.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's not just about the commission check. If you helped your customer make the right decision, the day that they have to go through that Andrew or the day that they have that bad car accident that maybe they were at fault, they are not going to lose everything. They're
Mhm.
going to be able to rebuild after that storm. They're going to be able to take care of paying those bills from that car accident they were responsible for. They're not going to lose all their savings. They're not going to lose their livelihoods. It's it's a big job and it's important and we have a responsibility to our clients. So I think, and I try to remind them, you have a lot of responsibility at your hands.
And it's interesting you mentioned that word. The way I say it when I teach, I use a very similar speech, but maybe I'm a little bit, I take it a little bit more too passionate just because I was recently hurt with, in 2017 with Irma and Maria. And I say, we have in our hands the power to rebuild a state, a country.
Mhm.
an island, whatever you want to mean. It is, I'm a true believer. And people, and I mean, this is like believing in Santa Claus, right?
Yeah,
I'm a true believer. I believe the insurance industry is the one that's going to help rebuild the pharmaceuticals that got destroyed, that they are the ones that are going to make the medicines to help you keep going on with your life, with your
that's
low
right.
blood pressure, with your medicines. The insurance industry are the ones, the insurance industry is the one that's going to help rebuild the roads. You
Hmm.
know, whether it takes time or it's longer or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's going to help rebuild. So when we do our job as agents from the agent side, we have to do the right job. There's no other option. We
That's
have
right.
to do the right job. Are we going to be perfect 100% of the time? No, we're not. The only perfect is God, ¿verdad? El
That's
único
right.
perfecto es Dios, como decimos. Pero
Hmm.
it's like we have to do the best we can do to the best of our abilities to make sure the client receives the protection they actually need, not the one they want, not the one they think they need, the one that they actually need. And it's up to
Right.
us to explain to them that. And it goes back to what you and I do, and you and I have done for all our careers, which is education. You got to get educated in insurance. Okay. It's not about just understanding the marketing, the social media, the sales, because that's what I see a lot of the agents, all they're looking for is, the most glamorous, beautiful sales ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, things like that. And they're not understanding that you still got to learn and know the insurance because you can make a lot of sales. But then if you're selling 100 policies and then you have 100 renewals, but you're only renewing 20, you're just basically doing nothing.
That's right.
You're doing absolutely nothing. So it's you got to maintain the client by insuring them properly. And the way to do that is you taking the education and the time as a professional to learn the same way a doctor. You want to go to an orthopedist and say, hey, listen, I need to cut my left leg. Do you want him to do that? Or do you want me, who's an insurance guy, to cut your left leg? No, you want the you want the orthopedist. You don't want me doing that. I mean, I can take an axe and try it, but you never want
Yeah,
that. So
exactly. It's not going to be the same. Not as
that's
good.
why, and that's the same way. So we protect people's assets. We let them know constantly the fact that you think that you can drive with the other day I got a client saying, well, I don't have many assets. I'll just take the state minimum limits. And I'm like, it's not about that. It's not about having the assets or no. And every state had different laws and all that. And I get it. It's about what happens if you hit the road, you fall asleep and you crash into somebody's bedroom, on a community. What happens if you hit, a total loss of Ferrari and now you're riding 10, 20, 10? What's
That's
going to
right.
happen with you? How's the future going to look for you when they tied up in the courts or, depending on your state, of course, and they say, listen, your next income for the next 50 years, anything you make on income, 10% is going to go back to this
That's
lawsuit.
right.
What? I mean, seriously.
That's right. I tell that to the people that are buying, young people that are buying our car and they don't want to carry, well, I'm renting. And so I don't own anything. I said, okay, do you have a paycheck? Yeah. Well, how would you like it if part of your paycheck went to pay the person that you hit in that car because you didn't have the right coverages? What? Yeah, yeah, because you can call your employer and once they get a judgment and they can garnish your wages. And they, all of a sudden you hear that silence on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, how much more is 25.50? It's going to be $45 more.
That's it. Yeah. Just, we
And
call
it's
it,
what they don't realize.
like we say
They're
in
looking at
Spanish, el
the
suspiro,
bottom
put
line.
your
They're
head.
not
Ay, Dios mío. Sí.
exactly. So, you sit there, you hang up the phone and you shake your head going, oh my God, we need to find a better way. We need to find a better way of educating our consumers of what the importance, what it is. So yeah, half our time, and you're like me, half the time we spend it educating our customers, educating our staff, being a mentor to some of our colleagues. And to me, that's very rewarding because I could tell you that from 1994 to the present that I started teaching, I could turn around and tell you that I remember having in my class people that today are AVPs at an insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a VP at an insurance company. One of them went from being in marketing and went to the underwriting side. One went from data entry and went into the underwriting side. And it was really funny. We were this was before COVID. We were getting ready for the last Latin Agents Convention that was at the Diplomat before COVID. And one of the students that was in my class, and I remember her, Carolyn Grudemacher, because she was pregnant and she was supposed to give birth the week after the national exam for the institute courses. We were doing the INS series 21, 22, 23. And all of a sudden, I get an email from this person. Now, mind you, we're talking, she was in my class around 1998, and this is 2019. And she writes me an email and she says, "Is this Dulce Resnick who used to teach insurance classes?" And I said, "Yes, it is. And how's the baby doing? Because you gave birth right after your test." She goes, "You remember me?" I said, "Of course I remember you. You used to work for a workers' comp carrier and you did data entry." She goes, "Oh my God." Because now she was working for a homeowners carrier and she was doing underwriting. And her company was one of the sponsors. And she saw my name as one of the people that was going to the special dinner that they were hosting. And she decided to
Reach
reach
out.
out. Oh my God. Moments like that for me are like, poof, it's amazing. I feel honored
Oh yeah.
that they remember their teacher. She was wild that I remembered her, but to me, most importantly, is that number one, she remembered her teacher and that she had moved up to this position as an underwriter, right? Instead of a clerical worker at a workers' comp carrier. So I love to see them, move up and to see that they've gotten to certain places, and they'll tell you, thanks to the
Oh
education
yeah.
that I got from you, it helped me get ahead or to take chances to find a different job within the industry, right?
Yep.
So, it's very rewarding.
Oh
I
yeah.
have to tell you.
I agree 100%. And just seeing their growth, and even to, like you said, taking those seats at carriers or even wholesalers or things like that, and you saw them when they were just a marketing rep, or something similar, not discrediting anything at all. It's just seeing how the career develops, and that's amazing. And then coming
Yeah.
back to you and saying, "Hey, thank you for that." You gave me a different perspective, and we get them just like probably that woman. She only knew about workers' comp, but you taught her
Yeah. And then
about
she was
homeowners or
doing data
personal lines, and
entry.
yeah, yep. And then you taught her about many other lines of business, and that probably guided her towards what she wanted to do,
Yeah.
which is pretty awesome. So
So
listen,
those little nuggets throughout our careers, and I'm sure
yep,
you have similar ones that you say, okay, I did something good. You know,
I,
I've done something good.
and it
So
helps us sleep better at night. Yeah,
oh my
it's
God,
your
absolutely.
heart feels
Absolutely.
full, so
Absolutely.
full of
So
joy.
then what happens also like you, after so many years in the industry and being involved, you're involved with the PIA in Puerto Rico and the PIA National, and you currently sit on their executive board. And with the different involvements that we have in our insurance trade associations, we have developed a voice.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes they're scared when we say something because they don't know what we're going to say. But because we develop a voice, we're not scared to tell the media when they call the truth. I don't sugarcoat it. I tell them the way
Mhm.
it is. This is the problem we're having in the state of Florida, and this is the only thing that's going to fix it. And over the years, I have been able to be the go-to person for local media here in South Florida and even Spanish media here in South Florida. And I will tell it the way it is because I need the consumer to understand because they don't really know what they understand or what they know is what somebody else said to them.
Yep.
And it may or may not be accurate information. So I have that voice. And then we want to speak on behalf, if you think about it, we are the closest thing to the consumer. As the
Mhm.
insurance agent, we know what's happening on the streets in our neck of the woods. You know, the insurance marketplace for homeowners, the insurance marketplace for workers' comp, for small businesses, for auto. We know what's happening. And, when you have a big state like Florida, what happens in South Florida is not the same thing that happens in Central Florida, which is not the same thing that happens up by you in Northern
Yep.
Florida.
Yep.
And it's different. I mean, you could take the state of Florida and dice it up into 5 different territories because it's just that different, right? And it's amazing when you see legislators talk about our insurance marketplace and they have no clue because they're from a part of the state that doesn't have the same situation that maybe South Florida. So if you're in the Panhandle, you may not experience the same situations as the agents in Southeast Florida, because even the agents in Southwest Florida don't have the same situation going on in their neck of the woods. So when our state is in crisis, insurance crisis, which it is right now, we have, at least I find that through our trade associations, we can have a voice for the consumer. This
And
is what's
especially
happening.
with
This is what's
legislation,
affecting
yeah.
your people in your neck of the woods. So we have to give them our voice because the consumer doesn't have a voice otherwise. And I find that to be very important as an insurance agent, to get the consumer's voice to the people that make the rules in our state.
And the
and
consumers
govern
are the
insurance.
ones that keep our offices open. They're the
Yes.
ones, because of them, we get to serve our communities. And one of the things is, I used to think, and for some reason, I had a misconception about all this voluntary work, and some colleagues will criticize it or say, "Why do you do all that?" or blah blah blah. And I'm like, it's for the good of everyone.
Yes.
So the consumer, our team, our agencies, our families, the industry itself, because if anything can happen, any law can be written tomorrow and approved, the legislation be approved, they pass a new bill, and now our offices are closed. And now who's going to serve properly the consumer? Because those consumers are who? Our friends, our neighbors, our family members. So we need to have a voice, and we need more people to, to speak up and do what they're supposed to do. Because at the end of the day, it's like you said, it's not about the sale. It's easy to do the sale. Or, I had a guy once say that it was so easy to just get, agent of record letters, and that was it. And he built his book like that. And I'm like, seriously? I mean, do you call those clients? Do you help them build? Do you review their policies? Do you give them some type of guidance towards how they should be insured? And it's like, well, no, not most of the time. I just get a lot of AORs and homeowners, and that's it. And I'm like, that's not how you build it. You got to help the people. If you're doing it for the money, you're going to lose it for the money, right? And you taught me that pretty good. Yep. If you're doing it for the money, you're going to lose it to the money.
What he's not doing is that he's not building a relationship with his client, because he's not staying in contact with his client and giving them guidance. I mean, if there's anything that you can do as an agent, is be available and give guidance to your clients. I mean, I have had situations where I've had a client call me and says, "What car do I buy my teenager?"
Like, I know, isn't it crazy?
Yeah. Well, because she wants this kind of car. I went, for a 16-year-old that's just going to learn to listen, let's put something smaller that they can maneuver better in their hands. And let's go that way. I've had people who have come from another state, relocated to Florida, and they have to apply for homestead exemption. That's not my job, but they've called me and I say, I will email you the link so that you know how to apply, so that blah, blah, blah. It takes you 2 minutes, but that relationship that you're building with that client always knows, if I can call Dulce. She might be able to help me. And if she can't, she'll know somebody who can. The fact that you become their trusted advisor, the fact that they have this relationship with you, it's extremely important. That's part of the retention equation.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to leave someone that has been by their side, helping them make their decisions. And maybe they had a claim and you held their hand through it, because, they're dealing with the adjuster, but they say, listen, they asked for this. What exactly is this they're asking for? Because I don't know what it is. And then you help them. No, that's easy. They're just asking for this and that. Send it in. They'll get it taken care of. That relationship is more important than the difference in premium of $50 or $100, because they're going to say no, because I have a relationship with my agent.
Yeah. Or do you want to call a customer service directly center and have nobody be there for you when you actually need it? And
exactly.
You and I have been, we've been through so many hurricanes and things like that. And you know what? When one of the hurricanes hit Puerto Rico, I was one that was in a couple of condos helping remove those debris. I just drove there and I saw they still had debris. And there I am just rolling my sleeve and then just removing, fallen trees and palms and things like that out of the way so people could come in and out. And
Yeah.
that I did it with love, not because I want to keep the account or do it with the account. It's just human nature, being there for others and being good. So,
Oh, yeah. I was on vacation. There was a storm that came by, and it was an early storm. It was Irma, and I happened to be flying to go teach. I wasn't on vacation. I was flying to go teach insurance somewhere else. And I told the customer, because the president of the association, the property manager, didn't know how to apply with FEMA for them to come and pick up the debris, because it had been announced that FEMA was actually going to help private communities, because before they wouldn't go into a private community, they were going to help them with the debris removal. If they would have it put in a certain place, their trucks would come and pick it up. They're not going to drive your community, but they'll go to that specific place where that debris is. So I said, I finished teaching class at such and such a time. Call me at that time and I'll help you. And I sat there on my computer, and while they're on their computer, all right, what does it say at this page? Okay, you're going to enter this information. What is it? You're going to enter this information. And I helped them fill out their application with FEMA for that assistance picking up the debris. This was in mid-October. The storm happened September 10th.
okay.
And within 2 weeks, FEMA was there to pick up the mountains of debris that this community had. So I don't have to do that. I want to do it.
100%.
What makes you different? I mean, I always think about it. If all the agents pretty much have the same carriers, what makes us different than the other guy? Well, I think that those relationships and the wanting to educate and help them, giving them that helping hand is monumental. And I remember for one of the classes that we both teach, it talks about the life cycle of a client and an insurance agent, how many years a personalized client stays with the agency and how many years a commercialized client stays with the agency. And so I decided to do that exercise. And I realized that my book of business did not match those numbers. It said commercial lines 5 years, 7 years for personal lines. I have had clients with me that have been my clients for 30 plus years.
Wow.
Okay. And I started with the parents, and I insure the kids, and I insure the other family members and stuff like that. And I sit back and I looked at the average amount of time I've had a customer for is 25 years.
That's
some
impressive.
are more than that, some are less. But I sat down and I said, I must be doing something right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I've never had to market. All of my clients are referrals.
Yep.
I have never done postcards, door hangers, nothing. I've never done it. Number one, I'm not really good at it. And cold callings, forget it. I can't handle rejection.
I'm bad at that. Yeah,
I remember one of the first things in insurance when they started. Oh, will you do this? And so I volunteered to do it. Oh my God, córtame la vena.
Sí.
Oh yeah, excuse me. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, cut my veins.
Yeah.
I could not handle a rejection. I couldn't do the cold calling. So I am very lucky that my book was built on referrals, and that makes me feel good, because that means that those customers are happy with the service they receive, and they are happy. In 30 something years, they've had at least one storm to deal with. Most of them have gone through 2 storms with me. So they've gone through Andrew,
yeah.
and they've gone through Wilma, and recently in 2017, Irma. So they have been with me, and they know that their claims get paid. And when they need help, that I'm there to help them out.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. And talking about the storms, by the way, it's interesting because now I am getting that cycle, after 10, 12, 14 years with a client. Now I'm getting that call, hey, my kid is driving, or my kid is about to, buy a house or move out of state, or can you help me with the insurance? And it's a pretty awesome feeling, because people think that kids nowadays, or young kids, young adults, nowadays are only thinking about the call to action on the cell phone and the click, 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 and that's it. And the amount of calls we get is that, no, you've been an insurance agent for my dad or my mom for X amount of years. We want to stay with you. We want to do what you say, because we know They have always been safe, and we have been through experiences, and again, not when you go through hurricanes and major catastrophes like you and I have gone, life is not perfect, unfortunately. So there's so much we can do, but then also the carrier has to do its part. And, and sometimes I would say 99% of the times it went out well. There's that 1% that unfortunately there's a bitter, sweet kind of like feeling or sensation because of something that was expected on a claim and it didn't happen. But the fact that we just kept fighting and fighting and fighting and trying to be there for them made a huge difference. That even when the younger generation comes on, and is it their kids or their nephews or nieces or grandkids, they still want to use independent insurance agent and they value our work.
Exactly. Because, and that's what I tell everyone. I said, I really don't think that technology, or I don't really, no, it's not going to happen.
No.
Technology is not going to replace an agent like Ariel or an agent like me that knows the customer. You're not going to be able to go to like an ATM machine and buy your auto insurance or buy it from your computer and make sure it's right. I know insurance agents. She's watching, or who you are, who is a commercial lines powerhouse. Okay. But when you tell her, please spell the word homeowners, she can't spell it. Homeowners is not her thing. She doesn't understand it, whatever. So she had purchased online her homeowners insurance because everybody was saying that this company had the best rate. And the agency she was at really didn't have a robust personal lines department. So she did that. She comes to have a claim. So she calls me. I'm having a hard time. I said, what do you mean? She goes, I'm having a hard time with the insurance company because da 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 da. I went, did you not buy this coverage? What coverage? I went, had you purchased that coverage, you would not have a problem. Oh, I said, better yet, you should have called me. I would have issued the policy for you and I would have given you back the commission. I said, why you of all people would have bought an insurance policy online, considering you can't even spell the word homeowners. And she goes, I will never do that ever again. And she never, and thank God, because she ended up selling that house a few years after that. And when she bought her new house, I went, are you ready? Yeah, because it's time to really insure this house properly. And, that counseling that we give, the questions that we ask, no customer is exactly the same than the other customer.
Nope.
They're not. They all are going to have different needs, different ages, different phases of their life is going to have different needs. So you as an agent, you bring so much to the table. I tell some agents, look, it's a difference between, do you want to be an order taker? Would you like fries with that? Or are you going to be insurance advisor? Okay, the customer doesn't know. They got a piece of paper from the lender saying you need this, that, and the other. Great. But what do they really need? You should sit down and talk to them, because the lender doesn't care about your contents. They don't care if you have replacement cost or not.
They need to check a box. That's
Just
it.
check a box and I can close this file, right? They check a box, close the file, but the customer stays with you. And if it's not done right, guess what?
It's coming back at you.
It's going to come back at you. Exactly. So no, I truly, truly believe that good agents cannot be replaced by the internet.
Yep. And technology came to stay, and I agree with that. And things like automation are perfect, but they're only perfect because they enhance the job we do. And they make our agencies and our agents and our producers and everyone, customer service, they make us better. But it's definitely, and I agree 100%, it's definitely not there to replace anyone at all, just to make us better. And that's it. And then, whether it's via text messaging, automatic emails, and things like that, those messages and emails and text messages, they still have to be created by you, by the agent, right? With the culture of your agency, that organizational culture. How do you talk to clients? And I mean, and we can go on for hours with this, because I always have the conversation. I don't know, I'm Puerto Rican. Maybe I'm too cheesy, but my mom taught me well, my dad, and then my grandparents, and they said, you always say good morning. I hope you're doing great. And that has to go on every email and every message, because that's how we were raised. And I want that every customer feels and sees that we talk to them with respect. More
Yes.
importantly, when you get an E&O, and thankfully we have never had one, if you get an E&O claim and a judge is reviewing and reading your emails and those text messages, and they see on it the evidence, and they say, you have always been professional. You have always been, straight up with your client in how you tell them things and how you express them, but you have always kept the highest standard of professionalism with them. It's not just saying an email, hey, here's your quote.
No.
Hey, no, thank you. Can we lower the premium? No, that's it. You got to take that one. That's it. No, they don't want to see that. They want to see the professionalism. And I get it. It takes maybe 20 more seconds to write that on the email, but it's what it is. And we have to, comply and abide with that. So I'm a true believer of that. It ain't going to replace her. We're going to be here for the next 100 million years. I don't know if I'll be here, but yeah. But Dulce, listen, I want to be respectful of your time. Please, please, everybody that's listening to us, I know they want to hear this from you. Tell us about the Florida marketplace. What's going on? The assignment of benefits. I mean, and again, I know we can go on for hours with this, but what can we expect, especially with the new legislation? Give us a couple of minutes of that.
So, as you know, the state of Florida is currently in insurance crisis. In the last 18 months, we have had 10 insurance carriers go insolvent, and one is currently in receivership. Another one has announced today that they are going to be withdrawing from their personal lines insurance market, not just Florida, but other states as well. And that puts us in a situation where we have an affordability and an availability issue. You don't have a market to go to, and the markets that are still open are extremely expensive. And therefore, the go-to market sometimes for a customer might be the state's insurance program, which is Citizens Property Insurance Corporation. The Florida legislature has, in the last few years, passed some meaningful reforms to help with assignment of benefits, to help with the attorneys' fees that are being charged, and things like that, and trying to curb the waste, fraud, and abuse. But it hasn't been enough. And the only way that I can explain it is that you have a 3-inch wound, right? And they gave you a 1-inch Band-Aid. So then the top and on the bottom is not covered, right? It's not going to heal.
Blood,
So that boo-boo or that wound is not going to heal. And there's one thing that we have realized in the last 12 years, that there's one thing that the state of Florida needs to do. When the state of Florida amounts for 8% of the claims in the entire United States, but for 80% of the litigation, you have a problem. So our problem is that in our state, we have something called the one-way attorney's fees. And if you were to say the one-way attorney's fees cannot be used in any type of claim in the state of Florida, this would solve every problem. You can't use it in workers' comp. You can't use it in auto insurance. You can't use it in homeowners insurance claims. You were to eliminate that. Don't eliminate it as a whole, but eliminate it from being used in an insurance claim, and we will fix the insurance crisis. Okay? Because we've already done last year, we had the 60-day notification from an attorney if they're going to sue the insurance company, because a lot of the claims are coming in with representation, and the claim had never even been presented to the insurance company for them to even examine the claim. So we put, standards there.
Yep.
Yeah, the 60-day notification. We have standards as to how these roofing companies that are trying to create scams, how they can advertise. Don't promise people that they're going to get a free roof, that their deductible doesn't apply, things like that. There's got to be some truth in advertising, right? So we've done all kinds of things, and it's like tiny little Band-Aids here and there, and the big item that we all know we have to fix is the one-way attorney's fees. Unfortunately, 60% of the Florida legislature are attorneys. Some of them are family law, some of them are contract law, some of them are real estate. And yes, you do have some that are personal injury attorneys that are the ones that handle these cases.
Yep.
And nobody wants to pull the trigger to fix it, because I hate to say it, it's an election year.
I know.
And if you do anything that would cut the strings to some of these attorneys. They're going to influence the Florida bar not to, fund their campaigns of these other attorneys that are in office, right? So it's very, very, very difficult. But we do have, thankfully, for the next session, it's an election year, the leadership that's coming in is all for solving some of this bad faith in the state of Florida, the bad faith claims. They're looking forward to fixing tort reform. They're looking forward to looking at the homeowners' claims situation and maybe making some hard choices. Like I always say, doing the right thing isn't easy.
It's never easy, yeah.
It's not popular. It's not easy. It's very difficult. But sometimes that's what is needed.
Mhm.
So that's where we are in the state of Florida right now. And unfortunately, I do believe that even though we had 51 companies insuring in the state of Florida, January of 2021, we are down to 40 right now. I think that you will see 2 more have an
Yep.
issue before December of this year. So we will be left with 30 some odd companies. And as you know, they're not all open all over the state of Florida.
Mhm.
Some of them right in northern Florida, some of them right in central Florida, some of them right in southern Florida. But we have a problem and we need to fix it.
It can only get worse. And I tell clients all the time, it's at the end of the day, it's going to also come down and affect you on your mortgage payments. Now you were
Absolutely.
paying 1,800, 2,500 mortgage payment, monthly mortgage payments. Now you're up to 3,200. What's going to happen next year if we don't fix this? 3,800, and then it keeps going up, and there has to be a stop.
Ariel, this is the first time in the 36 years that I've been doing this, first time where the commercial lines policies and the personal lines policies are in crisis. Any condominium association, any
Mhm.
apartment building, any office building, property, commercial property is seeing such increases.
Mhm.
Okay, anywhere, depending where you are in Florida, obviously, anywhere between a 25% rate increase and 100% rate increase, depending on the year of your roof, the year of construction of the building, the type of construction of the building, whether they have opening protection or not, and where you are in Florida, your rates on property could go up between 25 and 100%.
Mhm.
Condominium associations, where you, for the most part here in Florida, is where people retired, right? So you paid your house, paid it off up north, you decide to retire, and you're going to downsize, and you say, no more snow for me. I'm going down to sunny, Florida, and we're going to buy a little condo near the beach.
Mhm.
And now you say, with what I sold my house and I bought I'm free and clear. I just have to pay my maintenance fees, $200, $300. Great. No
Now the
problem.
insurance.
Now, what you're seeing is these condo associations are having to increase those maintenance fees, and they're having to create special assessments
Mhm.
to cover these expenses because the law does not allow their budget to go beyond 15%. So it's getting to a point that what you used to pay $300, you're paying $900, and then you have a special assessment for 3 or 4 months of another $300. If you are on a fixed income, you
Mhm.
can't afford that.
That's true.
So our state right now has a situation on the commercial line side as well as a personal line side. And if we do not fix this, people will not be able to have the American dream.
Mhm.
You will not be able to afford your house because the cost of property taxes and insurance will be more than the mortgage used to be.
Mhm.
Just those 2 things will be more than your mortgage used to be. So we really need to bend their ears, talk to them, and we do that. We do talk to them through the Latin Agents Association, our legislative committee. We talk to them here at home and up there in Tallahassee. So we get to meet with them 2, 3 times a year, and they need to hear from agents.
Oh yeah.
You need to be able to tell them the truth of what's happening. They need to be educated as well.
Mhm.
So I am hopeful that the new leadership that's coming in will push to make sure that we get some reforms passed that will see an impact. Unfortunately, the impact is never in the first 12 months.
I
As you
know it's
know,
going to be the
the
long run.
insurance
Yeah.
company has to see how this piece of legislature that passes, how does it impact the book, how well the book is doing, where is the claims going, things like that. So by the time they have some data and they do some rate filings because of that
Mhm.
data, that's 18 months. And by the time the customer sees that premium reduction, it's 24 months.
Yeah, I'm already
Nothing is
preparing
instant.
all the clients and saying, you're going to get an increase next year too. The reinsurance treaties, they keep going up. Carriers keep filing, increased rates, and it's going to happen. So even if something like this happens and there's that huge change, there's a very high probability that you're going to have a very big, not a very big, but a bigger premium next year or a rate increase. There's nothing we can do.
It is. You're gonna have their increase. You just don't know how much.
Right? I know it is, and it's funny when I talk to clients, I always let them know I feel that pain. By the way, I own a home too, and I own a car, so I have to pay the insurance
and a business.
And I am the agency owner, and I'm the producer for my own account, and I can't get it lower than that. And I went from 1,300 to 3,200 a year on my homeowners, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I try to move it around and I market the whole thing, and I did. It's just that's the best rate we could find under the best program. And, it's tough. It's tough for everyone. And I just hope it gets better. Actually, your words gave me a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel. So hopefully it gets better.
We're truly hoping that'll be, but it's going to be at least 2 years before we see it. But that's where we are right now in Florida.
Okay. And the assignment of benefits?
The assignment of benefits reform that was passed in 2019 has made an impact. It has made an impact, and the companies are starting to see that impact. The problem is that the attorneys found the loophole. So they say, okay.
Of course.
So it's okay. I'm just going to go direct. So they said, I'm going to go direct. I'm going to put in the claim direct. Then we had to put in the 60-day thing. You have to give 60 days notice. So that was like the Band-Aid for that. And now it's just will somebody have what it takes to put an end to that one-way attorney's fee on an insurance claims? If you can find enough votes that'll do it, then you have just cured the biggest problem that we have in our state when it comes to insurance. And I'm hopeful. I have some doubt. I got 80% hopeful and like 20% doubt, but I'm very hopeful.
Well, you can count with me. We're going to do we're going to pull our work and we're going to work hard towards, through the different organizations to let them know, everybody at the legislation and even the governor's office and everyone that, we need this to get better. At the end of the day, it's for their own constituent. So,
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
I'm sure they pay insurance premiums too.
I know.
Legislators.
I know. So listen, Dulce, before we go, people love to hear fun things because this is Fun Insurance Solutions. Tell me a fun fact about you. Something you would love to share. There's no right or wrong.
Since I'm Cuban.
Oh, there you go.
Since I'm Cuban, I hate to say it, I'm a beach bunny. If you put me on an island in a pair of shorts, t-shirts, flip-flops, and a bathing suit, I can live there forever and I'm going to be happy. Because I love to fish, I love to snorkel, I love to lay out by the beach, I like to swim. Just put me there and I'm happy. That's awesome. That's me. I'm a little beach bunny.
Yep. I love it. I love the beach too. That's one of my favorite places in the world. So,
like they say, once an islander, always an islander.
Always an islander. It's always in our heart, right?
It's always, it's in our blood.
So, Dulce, on our podcast, I'm gonna release and I'm gonna let people know if they want to connect with you. The best place is LinkedIn, right?
Correct. The best place is LinkedIn. Look me up, Dulce Suarez-Resnick.
Yeah, Dulce will always be a helping hand. So feel free to reach out to her or me. We're here for you. We want to help the industry get better. We want to help the industry grow. Dulce, I love you mucho, mucho, mucho. You have been a great, great mentor to me, and I can't wait for the next 30 years that we keep working together.
That's right. Big kiss and a big hug. And I'll see you soon, my friend.
See, I'll see you in San Diego. So that's going to be fun.
Next month. Bye.
Yes, bye.